Hey, yo, Scary T, don't even trip about your pants, dog. Here's a pair on us, fool.
Oh, bitch.
Hey friends, only a week has passed for us in Rick and Morty Breakdown Land, but more than 2 years have passed between the pilot and the second episode. But before we get into that, be sure you subscribe to Universe, tell your friends about us, and tweet me at Buddy Hutton. Okay, now let's break down Rick and Morty Season 1, Episode 2, Lawnmower Dog. Lawnmower Dog is a reference to Lawnmower Man, a film in which a scientist gives his mentally challenged gardener superintelligence using early 90s virtual reality games. The gardener then becomes smarter than his creator and turns on him.
You realize, Dr. Angelo, that my intelligence has surpassed yours.
Seriously, he uses video games to make him smarter.
It appears clear at this time that the era of human superiority has come to a bitter end.
This was the first of the tandem plot Rick and Morty episodes. One of the plots follows the rise of the canines over the humans, which kind of follows the same theme as Lawnmower Man with some of George Orwell's Animal Farm thrown in. Snowball is the name of a charismatic pig leader who was based on Leon Trotsky, a Marxist revolutionary. Also a little bit of Planet of the Apes thrown in because Caesar has a soft spot for his human, just like Snuffles has a soft spot for Morty.
Caesar is home.
The B-plot follows Rick and Morty as they go into Morty's math teacher's brain and try to implant an idea for Mr. Goldenfold to voluntarily give Morty good grades in a parody of Inception. My favorite parts were Rick giving Morty terrible advice about how to not die.
Don't be a baby. You avoid getting shot in real life all the time, Morty. Just do the same thing here and we'll be fine.
Morty being awkward about being hugged by his sister after seeing her nearly naked in the pleasure chamber. And this painting of dogs playing poker in the painting of humans playing poker in the shot of dogs playing poker. That's probably an Inception joke somehow. Snuffles is seen licking the place his balls used to be, foreshadowing things to come.
Where are my testicles, Summer?
Rick makes the helmet with 4 power drill noises in like 3 seconds. I think he gave Snuffles a way to increase the power of the helmet easily on purpose. He wanted to teach Jerry a lesson. Later, Rick lays out the plot exactly despite having not been there for it, so he knows.
Well, it's possible that your dog became self-aware and made modifications on the cognition amplifier, then turned on Jerry, Beth, and Summer after learning about humanity's cruel subjugation of his species, but your guess is as good as mine, Morty.
The helmet Snuffles has looks a lot like Gizmo Duck's helmet from DuckTales, but it also looks like the helmet from Lawnmower Man, so you make the choice. Snuffles uses his now powered-up helmet to become smarter than a human, creating a thought-to-voice collar just like Dawg from Pixar's Up.
My name is Dawg. I have just met you, and I love you.
But Snuffles isn't as nice as Dawg and comes with the voice of HAL 9000 from Space Odyssey 2001.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
The power suit Snowball is wearing looks like the Caterpillar P500 power loader from Aliens, mixed with the coloration of the battle pods from Macross Robotech. Justin Roiland made a pilot animatic for a show called Dog World, in which 3 human siblings find themselves in a world where the intelligence level of humans and dogs is reversed. It also uses the same music as Rick and Morty.
We were sucked through some kind of wormhole and transported to another world. Dog World. Now we live with our adopted dog parents, the Doggersons, and their pet human, while we avoid danger, learn about dog culture, and try to find a way back home. All right, Ruffles. What's his name? Snuffles?
When Rick calls Snuffles Ruffles, it's a reference to the name of the patriarch of the dog family the show focuses around. Justin Roiland based the look of Snuffles off of his own dog, Jerry.
Wow, a whole world populated by intelligent dogs. I wonder what it'll be like, Rick. I think it'll be great, Morty. You know, it could be developed into a very satisfying project for people of all ages. I mean, I'd watch it, Morty, for at least 11 minutes a pop. You know, maybe they'll do it board-driven.
The term board-driven means that the story will be created in storyboard rather than in script. Usually this is used to create less plot-driven shows. Rick and Morty is definitely a script-driven show, however. Final thing about the Snuffles storyline, I found a continuity error. In the shot of the room here, you can see that there's nothing at the end of the hall. You can make out these statues of Snowball lifting up his fellow dog in the background, but from a different angle at the end of the room, you see at some point in the show there was a gem-eyed golden dog bed on a diocese.
Holy crap, god damn! I know one thing for sure. I'm giving Morty an A in math, and that's my idea.
Dan Harmon hates Inception.
They love Inception.
A lot of them
left a lot of Rotten Tomatoes reviews that they're deeply ashamed of, but they gotta stick it out. 3 years later, you can't let it go. You're the same way about Good Will Hunting, you little
In the first level of the dream on the plane, I noticed that everyone has the standard Rick and Morty style eyes, except for this one woman. Her eyes are kind of drawn like the MTV cartoon Daria. Also, this guy on the plane that kicks the door open looks like an homage to Mork from Mork and Mindy. He has rainbow suspenders and goofy hair. Once out of the plane, Mr. Goldenfold is waiting for Mrs. Pancakes on a heart-shaped honeymoon bed in a land of purple mountains with champagne rivers. The lava pool and robot arm he has set up are pretty intricate, but I don't think they're a reference to any single source. When Rick and Morty go into Mrs. Pancake's dream, it's a sex dungeon called the Pleasure Chamber. It's basically a parody of the masquerade scene from Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut, with the guests being supplemented with Travelocity gnomes, goblins, gremlins, and non-gender normative clowns.
You look at these 10 years younger. Plus, I did your breasts. Does anyone hear me complaining about the breasts?
The only references I actually found were Mrs. Pancakes whipping a wizard wearing the colors from Wizard magazine, and some of the masks that people are wearing look like the splicers from BioShock's masks. In the Centaur's dream, Rick and Morty encounter Scary Terry.
Welcome to your nightmare, bitch!
Who is obviously a Freddy Krueger parody, but they did change a few things. He has swords for fingers, and just like with other franchises they have borrowed from, they just add some balls.
Okay, he's a Balchinian.
Just like Freddy Krueger, he hangs out in a boiler room, turns into things in his environment, and has a creepy little girl-powered theme song. The Scary Master bedroom is covered with sword cuts from the scary coitus Rick talked about. I love that the writers built a world around the question, how does a dream murderer learn to be a dream murderer? The scary class has dream reality Venn diagrams on the board and has claw safety posters showing not to hurt cats. In his nightmare, Terry can't come up with clever things to say when he kills people, but when he goes back through the dreams with Rick and Morty, he cranks out lines because he isn't stressed out about his work anymore.
These halves don't belong together, bitch!
Rick knocks out Mrs. Pancakes and the creepy little girl using a sap. A sap is a bag full of lead balls that causes 1d4 non-lethal bludgeoning damage. If you don't understand what I just said, that wasn't for you.
This is a salute to boneheads.
In this episode, Jerry mentions Bob Saget as a reference to America's Funniest Home Videos. Bob Saget hasn't been on America's Funniest Home Videos since 1997. He leads his family into danger to get his dog back for peeing on his carpet.
It's just like the end of Old Yeller.
Oh, Jerry. You mean because it had dogs in it?
Old Yeller is a 1950s Disney movie in which a dog contracts rabies protecting his owner. It's a sad movie with a sad ending, but it has nothing to do with the Rick and Morty plot of this show at all. We see this helmet in Rick's garage for the first time. Maybe it's a reference to the helmet worn by Lewis in Ghostbusters, or maybe the one worn by Doc in Back to the Future. Snuffles is seen here watching Air Bud, a film with the stupidest premise ever about a basketball-playing dog who can't possibly dribble. Summer has pictures of Vegeta and Alex DeLarge from Clockwork Orange on her wall, so you can tell early on that she likes bad boys. Scary Glenn seems a lot like Mrs. Grotke from Recess and is the only character in Scaryland without sword fingers. Okay, season 3 spoiler warning for this portion. I know there's a theory that Mr. Goldenfold was incepted to eat poop in this episode, but I don't agree with that.
I mean, it's a mess out there. I got some on my hands, Morty, and then I got it on the Dream Inceptor, and a piece fell in my mouth. Oh, man.
Because they were no longer in Goldenfold's dream when Rick said it. But there is a dude on this plane who's wearing a hat with poop on it. So Mr. Goldenfold is already dreaming about poop. Okay, a couple of things that I can't figure out and I need help with. What the hell is this thing? Also, the guy that kind of looks like Mork from Mork and Mindy has a football on his shirt with what could be stitching, but also could be the Roman numerals for 18, 3, and 5. If you guys know what 18, 3, and 5 could mean on a football, let me know on Twitter at Buddy Hutton. Also, we're gonna keep breaking these episodes down, mostly because I really like doing it. I feel like I missed a bunch in this episode, so let me know in the comments so it doesn't bug me for the rest of my life. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, bitch.